And now I can finally say I have two wishbones, opposite sides, left and right. Awesome. You might be aware that I had two left wishbones in my kit. Mr. Schumi sorted out for me a pair of new wishbones, which I'm very, very grateful. But unfortunately, we had the holiday period, bad weather, rain, snow, floods, leaves on the line. Delays, anyway, people, delays. But now I have two wishbones, one left, one right. But unfortunately, see, this one's perfect. Look, original left wishbone, perfect. In my set of wishbones I received, my right wishbone, which I was desperate for, had an issue. You couldn't write this stuff, people. You couldn't write this stuff. So I did not record my issue, foolishly, because it took me a very long time to resolve. But now, as you see in the video, that the pin is a bit tough when it goes in, but the hub has no friction. It moves nicely. It moves freely. But while I'm putting in these pesky E-clips, I'll tell you my issue. Now, what it was, when I put in the retainer pin to hold the hub, the pin didn't align with the other side of the wishbone. So you push it in one side, you go through the hub, and then you come out the other side. It wouldn't line up. It was basically hitting the other side of the wishbone. So I took the hub off, I put the pin in. It was very clear that the holes didn't align. The pin just, it wasn't by much, but it was one of them situations where the hole was the right size, but it was just pointing. Was it pointing down or up? I can't really put a measurement on it or degree. It was a couple of degrees out, put it that way. But anyway, it made it seem like the pin was bent, but it wasn't. The pin is straight. But the short end of the story is it was impossible to drill. I couldn't drill it because the hole was the right size. I had to warm up a pin that was exactly the right size, not the original pin, obviously. And I had to make an adjustment by warming it up, heating it, and then slightly, what would you call it? I had to straighten the hole with heat. So I warmed the pin up and I slightly moved it, and luckily I resolved my issue. But like I say, you couldn't drill it because the size of the hole was right. It was off skew. And it was a royal pain, an absolute royal pain. And you know what? The left wishbone that was in the pack I received was absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. The right wishbone was off skew. Couldn't believe it. Just my luck. Just my luck. But anyway, let's stop moaning. It's a shame I didn't video it, but it would have took forever and you would have got bored watching. But anyway, the two holes on the opposite side of the wishbone align perfectly. And my hubs move freely. And everything is now perfect. Except for my head. My head is mashed. But anyway, let's not focus on that anymore, just in case anyone comes across the same problem, that's all. Let's carry on with what we're doing. And this is a carpet setup model. So I have bling, which you may think, oh, you've got the purple anodized blocks. Yes, they are bling, but they also do something else. They are carpet setup purple bling blocks. You do not need any spacers. Okay. So when you fit the purple anodized blocks, if you want a carpet setup, No plastic spacers, people. No plastic spacers. Here you go. So nice anodized block. I'm just scratching my head thinking, which way do you put it on? Which way does it go on? Because I'm trying to film this without being too awkward, and hopefully this is the right way. Hopefully it is the right way. It is. I did double check. But anyway, so carpet setup, no spacer. Okay, if you've got the purple anodized blocks, that is the easiest way to set up your car for carpet. If you have the plastic ones, I think you have to add a spacer, and at this moment in time I'm not sure what the plastic spacer is, so I'll add that in the comments. I'll pin that to the top, what the plastic spacer is if you use the plastic blocks. But the carpet setup for anodized blocks is no spacers whatsoever, just anodized blocks. So normally I would use my very standard basic screwdriver to just hold. All I want to do is hold the screw. I'm not turning the screw. All I'm doing is turning the nut, which makes it very easy to do these, because the angle to get your screwdriver in is a bit pesky. But you know what? My good old faithful screwdriver doesn't fit, which seems to be a theme. I do have the correct bit ready for my butch screwdriver, but the angle is a bit of a issue with my butch screwdriver, so I'm just turning the nut, not the screw. I know that seems very very strange, but we work with what we've got, don't we? We work with what we've got. And I'm going to call this a tiny pro tip, okay? A tiny pro tip you might find useful. That when you are tightening these anodized purple blocks, do not over tighten them, because they will cause your wishbones to pinch. What I mean by that is, if you over tighten, you may cause friction on your wishbone. You might find that they do pinch slightly, so don't over tighten these nuts, okay? That is, I'm going to call that a pro tip. You probably find that out anyway when you do this process. It's very obvious. It's very obvious. When you tighten these up, do not get carried away. I'm making this look difficult, which is a bit silly, really. I don't know why I just didn't pick it up, but it's probably because I'm trying to film it. When you're trying to video something, it makes your build slightly more difficult, but it's essential. It's essential for the viewer to have a good viewing experience. I previously fitted the rear bulkhead. I think it might have been in temper when I didn't have my wishbone. I forgot to film it, or did I delete it? Somewhat strange like that, but anyway. So yeah, that is, yeah, this is the easier way of doing it. I don't know why I overcomplicated. I don't know why they shouldn't move the wishbones out of the way to start with. So yeah, don't over tighten those. Use your, let's call it common sense, not to over torque those. You want a nice free movement. You want a nice friction-free movement. You want your wishbones and your hubs to be as free as possible, So now those ones are tight. I will be doing the opposite side, but because the bulkhead's in the way, and because I've fitted the ball joints as well, I can't get my wrench in, so I'm relying on pliers. But because I've got the right screwdriver tip, this has become a lot easier. Look at that. So yeah, look, this is my pro tip. Do not over tighten these, okay, people. I did find off video that if you really screw down on these purple blocks, you will bind your wishbone, and we don't want that, do we? We don't want that. So the let's say the end purpose of these is to have minimum friction or no friction whatsoever. We don't want any friction, inners, movements whatsoever. This is the most important bit of the build, okay? So no friction on your wishbones, no friction on your hubs. They need to be very smooth, very, very, very smooth, or you will have issues when you're racing. You might lose seconds. This, like snagging or friction, might cost you seconds on the track, might cost you a lap, might cost you the race. So we want no friction whatsoever. And that's it then, people. I have 2 wishbones on my car, which move nicely and they do not bind. And that's it. Let's call it quits for this one, people. And laters.